Mayor,
Here.
Jacob,
Here.
Nick Rush,
Here.
John Sullivan.
Here. Sounds like we have a quorum. So regarding public comment, if you're on the agenda, you'll be given an opportunity to speak when your agenda item comes up. If there's any other public comments, let us know. They're limited to the items on the agenda. But make yourself known if you'd like to make a public comment at that point. There's no objections. The March 2024 committee meeting summary is in the board book and we're going to consider it approved. There's no old business. Is there any old business from the floor? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. William, we have tab 1.
Tab 1, River Auto Sales at Susanna Kemp. On March 5th, 2024, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1547 and 46.2-1575, number 2. Based on the information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $5,300 in a satisfactory inspection.
Okay, is there anyone here from River Auto Sales? Ms. Kim? Yeah, if you would like to come on up to the podium and just introduce yourself real quick. Let us know your name and position with the dealership.
Hi, good morning. My name is Susanna Kim. I'm with River Auto Sales as the owner operator.
Okay, so we appreciate you coming, Ms. Kim. So real quick, I'm just gonna summarize. And then, you know, stop me if I get to a point where something doesn't sound right to you, okay? So it looks like back in December, an agent came and did an inspection. Everything looked good in the inspection, except for they didn't have proof that you had insurance for your dealer plate. So they sent you a letter that said, hey, you need to notify the board within 30 days, proof of insurance for your plates. Which according to the record, we didn't get any kind of proof in that 30 days. On the 17th of January, I believe. Went through the process and we finally got proof on or about the 14th of February that you finally did get insurance. In the background of all this, you were having an issue with your insurance company about a roofing issue and the insurance at some point lapsed. You couldn't get coverage at that point.
Correct.
So then that's why we're here. Is that all correct?
It is correct.
Okay,
And I've prepared something to
sure.
say as well. Is
You-
this a good time
Yeah,
right
feel
now?
free.
Okay. Respected members of the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board, I stand before you today to address the unfortunate lapse of insurance coverage that occurred on November 5th, 2023 for my Dealership. I want to start by expressing my genuine regret for this oversight. After reflecting over the situation for some time, I've realized that I am at fault and should have immediately submitted my tags in. I am here today in hopes to have a fine reduction. The lapse in coverage was an unintended consequence of challenges that I faced in securing new insurance coverage, primarily stemming from a pending roof claim that was mishandled. I encountered many unforeseen challenges in securing new insurance for both my dealership and its property. Despite my efforts that I would like to present, I faced significant difficulties in finding suitable coverage within the surrounding unresolved roof claim. In the matter of dealer tags for the days following the lapse, it is essential for me to clarify that I now understand that the decision was made out of negligence. Regardless of my genuine efforts to secure new coverage, I did have to go through about 6 different agents. And then the 7th agent, finally, I was able to get coverage. In the wake of the insurance lapse, I immediately initiated efforts to begin alternative coverage to ensure compliance. But this was my biggest mistake, that I should have immediately returned my dealer tags in. Each carrier presented unique obstacles and requirements. Despite my persistent efforts securing new coverage within the time frame, it proved to be intangible, and most insurance agents were very difficult to reach during the holiday period. I acknowledge the responsibility that comes with operating my dealership within the bounds of regulations, and I am committed to upholding the highest standards of compliance. And I have taken the steps to rectify this situation. I humbly request your understanding and reconsideration of the circumstances surrounding the dealer tag use during this interim period. It was a decision made in earnest pursuit of compliance with the genuine hope of securing new coverage. I want to assure the board that I am fully committed to maintaining proper insurance coverage for my dealership. I have not lapsed coverage in my past 8 years of business until this roof claim incident. I was truly unaware of the adverse response that my insurance company showed and caused me to rethink my coverage. I have since then implemented measures to prevent such incidents from happening again, such as separating my dealership insurance and then my building insurance as well. And two, implementing reminders and establishing a more robust insurance management system. I deeply value the trust and integrity of our industry, and I am committing to upholding the highest standards of professionalism. I respectfully request a reduction of fees and consideration of any penalties imposed by the board. I sincerely apologize for this inconvenience caused by the lapse. And I have learned the importance of not letting my insurance lapse from paying higher premiums and facing the repercussions. I recognize now the severity of operating a dealership without insurance. So thank you today for the opportunity to provide clarification. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And tell you worked very hard on that.
Yeah, I
I'll be
did.
a little nervous as well.
I'm very nervous.
Okay, well, okay, don't be nervous. We're all car dealers too.
I'm an injured.
Hmm?
I'm an injured.
Well, there you go. Be nervous.
Well, it's great. Yeah. Okay. Yes, yes, they are.
Is there anyone on the committee that has questions for Ms. Kim regarding this?
Yes, good morning.
Mhm.
So did your insurance lapse or was it canceled or what happened with the
So,
insurance?
We filed a hail claim,
Yeah, yeah.
and long story short, the insurance company didn't want to pay out, and between them and the adjuster that was handling the claim, there was a lot of back and forth and confusion, and it was a lot of learning from me from an insurance standpoint. So when it was time to renew,
When was that?
November 5th,
Okay.
it was time to renew, and if I felt like maybe this insurance company wasn't the best company for me, just because one, there was a lot of backlash with me filing my claim, and I've been with that company for about 3 to 4 years with no incidents at all. I started thinking, well, maybe I need to change companies. Maybe this isn't the right company for me. But then in trying
Did you
to get
decide
new
that?
coverage, I decided in November, in the beginning of November, when it was time for me to renew. I said,
I
well,
mean, the policy come to its end.
November 5th, correct. So at the end of December, beginning of November, I was thinking maybe I shouldn't stay with this company. So I started looking.
Didn't have any insurance on the 5th of November, right?
That's correct.
You decided to work on it the first part of December?
No, the first part of November, end of October.
And it just took you
several attempts to find appropriate.
Correct. On my seventh agent, they were finally, I'm not sure why it took so long for me to figure out the idea of splitting my property.
Your original policy, the auto. full
Combined.
dealership po-
Correct. So
And your liability for your tags. the
yes,
Same.
on the
that
same
you had
policy. Yes, sir.
On that standard.
Apparently it's much easier to find coverage to split when you split them up. My building was built in the 70s. And I think a lot of the carriers had a lot of different requirements to insure a building that old. So when I ended up separating them, then it was much easier to find coverage.
So what,
In my
what
budget.
were you thinking when you didn't have any insurance November 5th? And you didn't have any insurance at all on your plates? You knew that, right?
When we were going into it, when I was going into it, trying to find it, I thought it with each company, I really did think that I coverage with this company. I said, this is it.
had
We're gonna
already
get coverage.
lapsed, though, right?
Yes.
I think it's important maybe. Think about that prior to it.
No.
lapsing, because then you don't have any insurance. Really puts you liable.
It does.
No, just a big deal.
And now looking,
Could have happened while you didn't have any insurance driving on dealer tax. So,
If the question is, what should buy? I mean, she's admitted she made a huge mistake.
looking back at it now, yeah, I realize how lucky I am that nothing happened.
Really did endanger everyone, because if somebody would want to do a tag with hit somebody else, they wouldn't, they could have been in hospital. on their
Right.
own.
Ms. Kim, I've got a question. for you.
Yes.
It says here that you sold 103 cars. Is that in a year? Is that how many cars you sold in a year?
Yes.
You have 5 salespeople and 20 tags for 100 sales?
So it's only 8 tags.
Now. It says number of plates currently authorized is 20. You have 8 tags.
Correct.
And when did the hail damage happen?
The hail damage happened in July, during a storm in July.
This is where I have a problem. You're having a problem with your insurance company in July, when it happened.
So that's when we initially filed the claim. Yes, ma'am.
Right. So, but obviously it wasn't on good terms at any point. It seems like.
You were having a problem with the adjuster and with the agent or with the company itself, correct?
That's correct. I've submitted all the emails of our adjuster and the insurance company. They were going back and forth, and I guess, I think with me reading all the emails, it seemed that the adjuster wasn't happy with the way auto owners was handling the claim.
What my problem is with this happened in July, August, September,
Yes,
October,
correct.
lapse in November. You're having a problem and you're not shopping before this?
It was only from when auto owners didn't handle, I realized that, hey, this is not the right way to handle a claim. So my husband owns body shop as well. He does collision on his end, and this is a little bit off subject, but when we get an insurance claim from a vehicle and the vehicle has full coverage, we do all the repairs, no question asked. I guess it's completely different with building insurance. There's depreciation involved that I had no idea about as well. And the numbers from the roofing company, and it really was a very long back and forth. So it was till the, mid-October thinking, hey, this company might not be the best company to go back with.
So to simplify things, Ms. Kim, you knew your insurance lapsed. You were hustling, trying to get new insurance. It didn't happen, so you went 100 some days, of insurance, right?
That's correct.
And do you have any problem with what the hearing officers recommended here?
No, just the fine is very high, but I do realize how important it is to have coverage and how serious it is, so.
I guess,
But I'm just here just in hopes that there might be a reduction.
well, I appreciate that, Ms. Kim. It sounds like, I mean, to just kind of wrap some of this up, I mean, it sounds like clearly you made a huge error in judgment. You've admitted that. You should have shopped earlier, for sure.
For sure.
And not doing so is why you're here. It's really just the decision of the committee to make a recommendation regarding the fine. Do we just accept what the hearing officer recommended, or do we reduce it? And I'll leave that up to the committee, somebody to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that the fine be reduced to 25. All the other recommendations. Hearing officer.
Okay, so do you want to reduce the total to 2,500? So would we then be fining 2,000 for the lapse in insurance and 500 for the failure to follow a written? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Rush. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Donald Sullivan seconded it. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so Ms. Kim, again, as Mr. Childers said, this is just a committee's recommendation. The full board will meet in 30 or 40 minutes, probably a little after 10 o'clock. You might want to stick around. You won't need to give your whole statement again because we all got to hear it the first time, but you'll be able to come up and answer questions or make another comment, okay?
Okay,
All right, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you,
All
Ms.
right.
Kim.
William, moving on to tab 2.
Tab 2, BC Auto and Stephen Kara. On February 29, 2024, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1550. Based on the information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $500.
All right, is there someone here from BC Auto? Yes, sir. All right, can you come up front and state your name and your position with the dealership?
Yes, sir. I'm Steve Kerr, BC Auto, dealer number 1352. I've been a DMV dealer since 1972, which puts me in about a 52-year bracket. Probably should have quit a long time ago.
All right, so before you get started, I just want to comment, I own Consumers Auto Warehouse in town.
Oh, okay.
But
Stan.
you and I don't know each other, though,
No, sir.
not dealt with each other.
No, sir. I know of you and
All right.
Where you
don't
are.
have any issue with me.
I have none whatsoever. No, sir.
I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna summarize again the case, for those that maybe didn't read it, thoroughly. Apparently you had a gentleman driving, a vehicle with a dealer tag on it that was involved in an accident.
Correct.
He was towing, another vehicle that you didn't own, on a tow dolly that you didn't own. While he was using the dealer tag.
Correct.
The record shows that you did produce a permission to drive form for the gentleman. There was some question in that apparently this gentleman's done some work for you, but he's not an employee. But it was your testimony that this was a test drive and you weren't aware that he was going to be towing something behind the vehicle.
Yes, sir. Those
Correct.
articles are correct.
Okay, and so the agent's position on this case is that the fact that Mr. Kerr didn't know that the gentleman was going to be towing something is not material, that the code claims that he's still responsible based on the language in the code. And I think that's what's before the board now. They made a recommendation, then you had an informal hearing. They reduced the fine in the informal hearing to $500. And you're here to kind of go over and explain your side of things, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm here to discuss, the guidelines I understand. But once I do my DMV work and the individual leaves there, I don't know where and when my responsibilities end. I don't know how I can control, and I've had even a judge in town. I was at a dealership, pickup truck, wanted to borrow one to go move a couch. He was told that he wasn't supposed to haul anything. He said, well, tell him to come to my court. So I think on occasions throughout history, individuals have hauled and moved stuff. And then with the DMV regulations and the dealer board new guidelines, I don't know that if everybody is truly understanding of what goes on there. And once again, I just cannot get into my mind how and when I'm responsible for that individual once they leave there. In the last week, the dealer rep was by and we talked about the use of the permission slips and this kind of thing. And that was quote unquote that if someone goes down to the 7-Eleven, robs it, they can come back and I can show that I wasn't participating in that. So I think this is somewhat of an analogy that could pretty much pertain to what's happening here. I wasn't in the robbery, I didn't create any crime here. And we just, it's something that maybe needs to be revived, reversed as to the use of this tag once it leaves the dealership. Whether we got to add a sentence or a paragraph that the customer would assign or omit to. But as you're saying, both of us being out in a rural area, pickups are as common as, having an ex-wife.
Yeah. Okay, so let me, Chris, just 1 second. I appreciate your comments and just understand our role as a board, though, we don't write the legislation. So you may be correct that the legislation needs to change. The actual code itself reads, it shall be unlawful for any dealer to cause or permit dealers' license plates to be used on vehicles to deliver or transport other vehicles, portions of vehicles, components, parts, accessories. So the question before the committee really is, what constitutes permitting the dealer license plates to be used? Is it, does the gentleman have to have some knowledge ahead of time that it might be used for that? Does he have some obligation to warn the guy not to do it, the customer not to do it? I guess those are the questions. Chris, what do you think?
I think it's real simple. Did you have pre-knowledge, you gave him that vehicle with the dealer tag on it, Mr. said that he was gonna be moving a car?
No, sir, that one's not.
That's all I need.
Yeah, okay.
I don't see where we can hold him accountable. The consumer does what they need. It's your job to fill out the permission slip.
Correct.
I think it's your job to explain to them, hey, this is for test drive purposes only, okay? And if they go out and haul a couch, which they often do, I've heard of people grab refrigerators down at Lowe's, haul to their house.
Sure.
Come back, it would just take one dealer taking a picture of that, send it to William, all of a sudden, $320 fine or $500. So if your statement is, and your record's clean, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, sir. There was one other instance and in 52 years ago, I had a service station. There was a gentleman that came to my station and I had a car around the side and he wanted to know if it was sale. I said, yes, sir, it is. And I'm investigator T. Custer with the Division of Motor Vehicles. I was not a dealer at that time. He was a gentleman, explained to me what I needed to do to become a dealer. Of course, I was, guidelined by the 5-car rule that you could have 5 cars. And I think the public still has that intention. I know there's a lot of people that sell cars, curbstone or whatever we want to call them. I have no objections to what they do. It's none of my business, but he explained that if you buy one car with the intent to sell it, you have to be a profit. So I remember that from 52 years ago.
So, Mr. Garrett, before we ask for a recommendation, that the one thing I would say looking at the record, you probably should get updated forms. Your permission to use dealer plates is an old form. There's newer ones, and you had indicated on here that you gave Mr. Halterman 5 days, but that box is actually on the form that you used is for when his car is in your shop for repairs, not for when he's a test drive.
My field rep has said that there was some new forms, but we were still allowed to use the old forms.
Well, I understand. It's just
Yes.
that if you use the old form, the box you check doesn't apply to what you.
Okay, I usually
stated
just
you-
check them all for the 5 days and the time period and,
Yeah, the 5 days is on this form is for when you're repairing his car.
okay,
On the new forms, you check the box and then indicate the number of days. I think that's why they made the change.
okay.
Just a
I,
recommendation.
I'll have to get those forms, but I have been told by my field rep that we could still use the old forms.
Right.
So,
Got one question. Did
Yes.
the accident situation, was it he at fault or was the other driver? at fault?
no, he was at fault. He was
Whose insurance paid or who paid for that?
his insurance.
His insurance paid?
Yes,
for
sir.
it. So
Yes,
the
sir.
person
According
who owned
to-
the vehicle, his insurance paid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. According to my advisors, one of them being an attorney, that I'm not really liable for something that I'm not caused or liable for. So my request, I guess right now, I would just like to have this incident abated, gone away, and not have 52 years of DMV service go down with a mark on it.
Do we have a recommendation for the
I got a
committee?
motion. I have a motion, we completely remove this. Right, not- not motion. Second.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to format that motion.
Wait a minute, Bill.
Basically, I mean, there's a little penalty, takes care of it.
Okay, so the recommendation is no civil penalty.
Recommendation is no civil penalties. removed.
Yeah, but there's nothing on the record.
There's nothing on the record. This is not gonna be on anything at all with him.
The record is not what y'all think it is. It's not what y'all think it is.
I want to do what William said. Second by Melissa. Dunn.
So that the motion for Chris is that we assess no civil penalty. And Melissa seconded it.
Well, let me say this. And take this as a warning in the future that you can't do that, just so he's aware of it.
I think without us saying it's a warning, because that's putting something on the record, I think he's getting the point when we giving him a warning.
Again, the record's not what you think.
Sir, you understand, don't you?
I understand what you said. Yeah. Throw it in the trash, file 13 and let's everybody go home and have a nice week.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you again. Same as I said for Ms. Kim, it'll come before the full board here in not too long. We appreciate you coming in.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen,
Ladies.
ladies.
Thank you. Is there any new business from the floor? Hearing none, our next meeting is scheduled for July 8th, 2020, and the Dealer Practices Committee is adjourned. Got the right word. Sponge.
I'd like to call license committee order. Alice, would you call the board, please?
Reese Slaughter,
Here.
Jeff Ballard. Here. Alexis Walker Caplet. Here. Trevor Coley. Here. Lisa Dunn. Here. Timothy Kohenka.
Here. There'd be a portion in here for public comment. Those comments happen to be related to the cases that we're discussing, and anyone on the board would like to speak. You can speak now. With no one wanting to speak from the floor, I'd like to move to approve the minutes from the March 11th meeting without any objection. No objections being seen, noted. Any old business? No old business on the floor? Let's go to new business. William?
Okay, tab 3, Casey Strauss Snyder, salesperson and deal operator of BK Motors. And for the board members, this case was due before the board, our last board meeting back in March, but Ms. Snyder had dependent care issues the morning of. She emailed us early, so the committee rather agreed to table it until the meeting today. She is here today. So historical overview leading up to the formal hearing. On July 17, 2023, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1575, number 8, 9, and 13. Based on the information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended revocation of all licenses and certificates. On September the 11th, 2023, the board reviewed and considered the facts and evidence in the report of the informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning Casey Snyder for alleged violation of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1578, numbers 8, 9, and 13. And based on due consideration, the board voted to revoke all licenses and qualifications issued by the board to Casey Snyder. Casey Snyder appealed for a formal hearing on October 11, 2023. On December 19, 2023, a formal hearing was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1575, number 8, 9, and 13. Based on the information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $2,250, revocation of dealer operator's qualification, and suspension of salesperson's license for a minimum 1 year, and satisfaction of financial obligation owed.
Casey here today?
Hi, I'm Casey Snyder. My husband and my husband owns BK Motors. This is something that did happen back in basically in 2018. I've been in the car business all my life. I got my salesman's license in I think April of 1993, and then I got my dealer operators in 2009. This was something that I have taken full responsibility for. I'm meeting my obligations financially, paying it back, and I just asked that to keep my license so I can sell cars and continue to, if I don't have my license to sell cars, I can't, needs to be paid back. Make this right. I haven't had any other issues other than this, you know, and we've been operating BK Motors now for 3.5 years without any issue. And I just need to, you know, be able to feed my family and pay this back. Thus far, I just need to be able to continue to do that. I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
So this payback right now, schedule you're on, is this a court order payback?
It is.
Monitor.
Yes,
And you're up to date on that?
yes, sir. Mhm.
If you don't pay or whatever,
I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
I could go to jail, yes.
they do monitored.
Oh, absolutely.
And you said your husband is now the dealer.
Well, he owns the car lot. Yeah. He does. Mhm. He could. I just would really like to be able to do.
Well, well, it's kind of a. Yeah. Kind of got to do with the budget.
Checks before, notice that they were returned. Did you know they were?
Some of them, yes, I did know, not all of them, because some of them got caught up in the 2-day holds of the, I'm sorry, of the funds and what's, then after that, it just, but I'm gonna say. I didn't know about some of them that they were gonna be bad, yes.
So did you have any issues? I'm done, so. Did you have any issues with the public? Any kind of title issues as far as getting their titles going to get their cars processed, that type of thing?
Nothing like that. We had one, where I took full responsibility for, but it was, in 2000, I think 18 or 19 that came up later, that, an employee got a lost title for, but I took full responsibility for it because it just,
So you didn't have any issues really with the public?
nothing with the public. This was
Business transaction?
Yes, sir.
Like a deal.
with another dealer. Well, actually, I mean, yes,
Mr. Snyder,
Yes,
if I
sir.
understand, this was a wholesaler you've been doing business with that gave you a bunch of cars to sell.
right,
And were they holding checks for you?
yes,
So here's the problem I have. This dealer came in and dumped a bunch of cars. And she wrote checks, and as those cars sold, those checks were supposed to clear, you know, and I think it was overwhelming for her, to say the least. How many cars were given to you and
It was, I can't even tell you how hard.
the dealer we're speaking of, I'm not going to mention them by name, but they sold to another dealer, their dealership. And they had to move all their cars, and they brought them all over to her place and dumped them on her. And I think it was overwhelming for her, to say the least. And I have seen their operations, very small operations. That's a husband and wife operation. They probably got 6 or 8 cars a lot. And I'm not on this committee, but I am on the full board. And I think it's probably in our best interest to let her keep selling cars so that she can pay back the rest of it. If we wipe it out, I don't know her husband at all, but I believe in my whole heart, she's probably the motor behind the operation. No disrespect to you, sir. And by taking away her ability to do that, I think we're taking away the motor that's gonna pay this whole thing back and make it right. She's on a very short leash with the law right now. She can't go.
no. And I,
She can still work at the dealership without having a license as long as she's not dealing with the customer directly.
And if she's all buying cars at one place and the customer walks in the door there and
Then she can't deal with it.
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Did you write checks as you were picking up titles, or did you have to write checks when they put on a lot to consign and leave them with the, dealer? So it was really a credit issue with the dealer.
Yes, it really, if this wouldn't have got personal with the dealers. Secretary, for the people who wouldn't have gotten personal, this would have been worked out between him and I. This would have been gotten to the front.
I don't know if all this works, so he put this card on your lot,
mhm,
he held the title.
yes. Well, they are in the name of our dealership. But sometimes I would give it to them on the part of the titles, but they would all be right there in my office.
Was holding a check for you, I'm assuming once you sold, you said, okay, put that check. through.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
How many vehicles are
Well, we're just, I think, when it comes down to 230,000, that was 11 different vehicles, I believe.
What was that?
Or it could have been more. It could have been more. That was 11 different checks. It could have been a couple, but it couldn't have been more than.
At one time, I was in front of a Fairfax. And customer gave me the check and he said, I won't have any money in this account for 2 weeks. And I said, no problem, I'll deposit it to the bank. And when I deposited the check, he said, you took respect to the person knowing you didn't have money, how does he get out of my phone? This is a very similar situation. What we're seeing here is checks were written for money she didn't have. I think the dealer didn't make a wise decision when he jumped in, and dumped all these cars on her, but I don't think he had a choice. His lot was sold and he had to move his cars somewhere, which is why they ended up on this case.
Correct. And my attorney wanted to use that tactic, but I just said, it is what it is. I just wanted to take responsibility for. And he used to get it. I just wanted to try to attempt and show my children that I'm trying to do the right thing. Embarrassing.
So you're okay, Lou?
What?
I'm not okay. Well, no. Well, that's what I was, yeah.
Yeah, that would involve closing the dealership down, right? Close the dealership down.
90 days.
Doesn't need to do bond.
No, not for dealer operator. No, what happens is she'll get a notice that she doesn't have to do the operator for 120 days to get one in place. 120 days.
Absolutely. I think 2 days, the dealer operator class would do her well.
Yeah. Sounds like that would be it.
Are you on the committee?
So nobody actually on the committee is talking, I can tell.
Trevor's making a motion.
Can I make a motion that we accept the hearing officer's recommendation, but remove the revocation of the dealer operator license? Allow her to for sales purchase license. With the asterisk that if anything happens, number one, sounds like you're gonna go to jail for not paying. Are you on probation or?
Yes. Mhm.
So. She has every incentive in the world to do the right things. You take away her ability to fish.
I'm just trying to understand. I'm not. Sorry.
Did you say monthly on that rest?
I do, yeah. Well, the minimum I have to pay.
Keep civil penalties.
Keep civil penalties, take away the revocation of licenses. She have to attend the dealer operator class. Yes.
So the hearing officer recommended suspension for 1 year.
Right, for salespersons.
Yeah, so you're giving a clear path, pay out for everything, so you're giving a clear path to get back into business.
But if her salesperson's license is suspended, she won't be able to sell cars.
I understand. But there was some serious allegations.
Oh, yeah. No.
There should be some repercussions.
But if she can't sell cars, she can't pay back her restitution.
Yes. Yes, sir.
You want her to keep it.
Keep everything, and, with just the asterisk that if she messes up, then she has more than life for it.
She won't have to.
Is there a second to that on the floor?
I'll second that.
You're not on the committee. right?
Oh, no.
No, you're not.
All right, the motion dies. There's not a
We
second.
didn't give anybody a chance to second.
Hey, I'm sharing this, man. Order. Order. Yes.
Why are you saying keep everything?
Well, I mean, the thing is if we, suspend her to the operator license, it's gonna give it to her husband. She's still gonna be involved in the business. So I don't know if that's just a parliamentary thing where we just say, oh, but she's not gonna be the dealer operator, she's still gonna be in the business, so, why do that? Cause she's still gonna be a dealer operator.
Yeah, but there has to be a penalty.
Yeah,
What's
I
the
mean,
fine?
she's got a civil.
Yes.
That's being there.
Well, the people that are very new fish, we know they're gonna be operating. So all we're doing is making them put a program for no reason.
Exactly.
And to say, if you want to bill out, I don't know, something like that, but I think we're correct, 3-person operation. We put this, penalty on as recommended, which I don't have a problem with officer recommended, but that's like that. It's just an inefficient way when we know in the end, with 120 days, the same 2 people are gonna do that.
But Nick, when you say final mo, first case, we reduced to 5. Second case, we reduced to 5. So finding them more doesn't work when you come to this board. This board's gonna reduce it no matter what the hearing officer feel is the appropriate, fine. How much? Who did they got 28,000?
This is a 2,400.
750, 750, 753, 755.
Well, my 2 cents worth, I think, Marion, no offense to you, what she did is highly egregious and she did it to another dealer, regardless of the circumstances, holding checks, not holding checks. I mean, to me, you know, I'm a businessman. I know if I owe you $10,000, but I don't have it in my account, I'm not writing a bad check. Cause I know that's a felony. And
So Jeff, is that a motion? So I can get some.
We have a motion. on the
Yeah.
floor.
That motion died. I'm chairing this committee. I already told you that motion died.
I don't have any problem with the people that sell. But me. I understand that this is their living. I understand. You can make a living with cell phones. but I don't think-
Alert from reminders. The dealer board meeting is at 9 a.m.
Jeff, I agree with you. I think it should be. It's serious allegations. And if you put that in motion, I try to get you a second.
$100,000.
But you guys had a personal relationship. with Sal.
Right.
I had a choice. They had to do it.
That was peanut.
Prior to me having
The
to do
dealer
that.
board meeting is at 9 a.m.
We'll make a motion that we revoke the dealer operator license. Let it be for, no.
Have a vote on this, put a motion on the floor.
Let me be sure what the motion is, $2,250 civil penalty, revocation of dealer operator's license, and she's allowed to herself person's license. That's the motion.
And that's 2 days.
Vote the dealer operator license, can she reapply?
Hi. What?
I'd like to call the advertising committee to order. Alex? You have a form, correct? All right, so public comment. All who are on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak when their agenda items come up. Anyone here that would like to speak? Or be, okay? All right. So if there's no objections, I'd like to the March 11, 2024 meeting summary. Any old business from the floor? Any new business from the floor?
I'd like to bring up a question. Recently, was sent to me a copy of advertising for Tesla that is now including the ad specifically includes fuel savings in the price of the car. It's only a medium issue with advertising. Obviously, fuel savings. And it also brings up the question. What is called
My understanding, some of the rebates can only be used for the.
Manufacturer that states that everyone has to follow, but they have to follow by what I'm understanding. I have heard someone else who would better than the car, but I think, actually, no, you're right, they do. But everyone does qualify, but at what level do they qualify? Yeah. That's the, so that, but there are two questions. First one is definitely used to fuel savings.
Any discussion on that? No, it comes to the dealer board, you have a group that looks at advertisements. So we are looking at that in a particular case, only the one he's mentioned, but we received documentation from the VADA a couple of weeks ago about some ads from Tesla specifically. And I think it addressed the issues he's speaking of, and we're looking at those right now. So we have those.
First time, it's multiple times.
At least the second time. I think it was dealt with 3 or 4 years ago.
Considering that, my experience with OEMs is that all of their advertising goes through legal compliance. And they're a national company that I'm quite certain it is. They're knowingly doing this. It's a repeat. They're continually doing this. What is our process for holding them accountable?
Well, once we finish our review of what we received, we will take the action based off of the fact that they've had a previous violation of the same process. It'd be a lot harsher than last time, but keep in mind, we can only go up to $1,000.
Violation, but we have the option.
That's part of it. It can be. It can be.
What is the next meeting be with that?
It should be completed well before that.
The violation. If I run one day, that's the same, if I run that same ad, 75 new paper.
It depends. It could be 75 violations. It could be 1 violation. It all depends.
So the national OEM is. I didn't know what so if that guy, that OEM advertises on television, internet, the same ad, I mean, violation.
Again, it depends. Depends. It could be in that range. But keep in mind though, you as the board have the authority to work with that parameter of the law. And the law does give you the ability to change it to per day if you want. Yeah. Or not per what. Exactly. Or per week. So once we receive it, we'll look at it, but we received it a couple weeks ago from Answer to us. I think it was at least 3 different articles that she sent us, or 3 different advertisements that we're looking at. I don't know where we are in the process right now. I think have any update on where it is in the process.
Well, I've got my two analysts that are working on it right now. What we violated him on last time was state. That was the biggest thing. We also sent them a letter having them explain a bunch of questions. that we asked. For example, it said, you know, like, how many Virginians are currently on the reservation list, maybe for $35,000 miles? So in other words, we asked them a bunch of questions and they responded. We did end up giving them a violation letter, based on, you know, hey, this was a little bit different. We don't know that fuel economy. Okay. And the other thing is OEMs get taxed, basically. That's kind of exposure also. If they do kind of get a pass, it is making up. So we can say Virginia only allows us to monitor.
But isn't that the same question? I would be careful.
In Virginia. It doesn't matter where you're based out. Doesn't matter. You have a dealer within the state of Virginia. We can civil penalty that act.
Especially because they do have a dealership. There's multiple, they would qualify.
That is correct. And we did that in 2019. Go ahead.
I totally take observation. Yeah, there are some things that manufacturers, but the issue is that Tesla is not just a manufacturer. They all have a private. And I would say that our concerns about it were that it is made out as a price that people can't get. Nobody's gonna have that ability to go in and write a check for that. Question about rebates. We have always cautioned dealers that your price has to be what's any person wants to buy. And you can list other things that they might qualify for. You can't take off the price on class based on something that is,
so there'd be nothing wrong with, you know, touting the benefits of an electric vehicle by saying, you can save money, or you might qualify for this tax rebate, or you might be qualify for this military rebate or whatever, and list some of those qualifications, but you just can't advertise a price that's not available because the person, generally people will not qualify for those rebates. In the case of the gas savings, there is no rebate amount. That's just saying over the course of 5 years, you might save this much gas, so we're gonna take it off the cost of this car in our ad. That doesn't make any sense. Because then all dealers could.
it is absolutely everything.
But also, they're creating very slick.
Okay, so any other discussion? Any new business? If not, this committee will adjourn. Our next meeting will be July 8th, 2024. Here in the state of Virginia. I ain't gonna vote. I did it for.
You need that.
I could use some steps, I can tell you that. A fun meeting to order. Alice, you can call the roll, please. Here.
Alex?
Here.
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 Sounds like we have a quorum. Public comments will be limited to the topics that are listed on the agenda. If we move to the approved March 11th meeting summary unless there's any objections. Hearing none, it's approved. For any old business, coming forward. Hearing none, we'll move on to new business.
Tab 4, Anton and Lisa Davis versus Car Central LLC. On May 2nd, 2024, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Section 46.2-1527 against Car Central LLC. Based on information provided at the conference, the hearing also recommended payment to Anton and Lisa Davis in the amount of $6,464.47 from the recovery fund.
Anybody here to speak on this topic? Advising themselves in the case. Already. It's the case where a dealer purchased a car off the street. It was a stolen car, the VIN number had been changed, had a fake title, and sold the car to the consumer. When it was discovered, the dealer didn't make it right. And at this point, here, it's out of business. I think we should think hard about, instead of just paying the $6,400 out of the transaction government, we should consider having this put on for the dealer as well. To the dealers, that the dealers were heavily involved in it, and they can just turn right around and go and have another business in Virginia, another car business. How do we do that?
I mean, if the committee, if the board committee decides to, like a financial type deal, where they, you know, they cannot be licensed until they satisfy it without objection.
I'm surprised this isn't $30,000, $6,000. If it had been one of the terms, it's your car dealer.
They automatically would be able to get another license until that.
No, yeah, but in this case, they were not named in the judgment. In this case, it's just a car company. And the other time we have this case, it's usually the company and the owner. In this case, they didn't name it.
Well, how would we raise the issue?
How you would do it?
No, I'll make a motion that we accept the hearing officer's recommendation and add the owner's name. Two owners' names in terms of the financial obligation.
I think they've got the problem with this.
Yeah, but
It's just us.
they could reapply. We could deny it at that point.
The process, as he said, Mr. Ballard, would be, they could apply for a license down the road. We could deny the license down the road. They can appeal the rejection and come back before the board eventually for permission to get that. I think that the discovery was after an accident. They didn't know stolen time.
Obviously, the DMV knew it, because it says title fraud on it.
That's after, it was re-VIN. The VIN was different.
It originally had a VIN from a car that was in Canada. It was a good VIN.
Good, and a good title according to
The DC title, in Virginia just produced the title. Then it was discovered we had a fake DC.
Okay, so the title I'm looking at was the second title.
Yeah.
So it said the status 11/8/22. We
The
were
Virginia
sold
title.
11/2. That. These are 20.
I'm with the dealer.
Where's the DMV?
DMV board guy got here.
Ready?
DMV guy got here.
From DC. It's the Wild West.
Oh,
down there.
yeah.
Sounds like coming to Richmond.
So they produced a fake DC title to a clone vehicle in a different country.
I get all that. But here again, the DMV said this is a fraudulent title when they titled it. Why wouldn't they just not do it? Why would they say, can't be titled?
Other things change.
Motor vehicle dealer board, DMV. So we have a motion on the table by Andrew Wiley to accept the hearing officer's recommendation and include the two owners in the number, the $6,400. And we have a second, Maurice Slaughter, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next, with that being said, we'll adjourn our committee. Our next meeting is scheduled for July 8th, 2021. Now we're on to the full board, and since I am the,
No, he's here.
oh, he's here.
Right, this is why I took my break for my stuff.
Okay, so how long do you need?
10 minutes.
We'll see you all back here in 10 minutes. Probably about 25.
That's fine.
Welcome, everybody. You mind, reading the roll for us?
Jeff Fowler. Here. Alexis Parker Taplin. Here. Carl Barton.
Here.
Tom Bates. Trevor Coley. Here. Melissa Dunn. Here. Dennis Elmer. Chip Lindsey. Here. David Lynn. Chris Mayer.
Here.
Temple Hako.
Here.
Steve Rush. Here. Maurice Slaughter.
Here.
Don Sullivan.
Here.
Wiley.
Here.
Joe Lack.
Here. Thank you very much. Since we last met in March, I had, a new member join us and two resignations. Ward resigned and RJ Robinson back in his family. And we had a new member. Do you want to introduce yourself, and then what we can do is just go around the room real quick? We did that last time for a couple of members, but just so everybody introduces themselves.
Tom Barton, Virginia Beach, with leadership there, Ford dealership, Suffolk. Second generation, second generation.
Nick Rush, criminal representative, background, insurance. And read about this.
Temple Anka, plant operator out of, Hartford. Yes, Fallon, last.
Right, a lot of groups, and this year.
Morris Slaughter, Bayside Holidays, Bayside, was.
Chris Merritt, Credit Nation, Winchester, Virginia.
Go back, commissioners.
Leading Childers, executive director of the Middle Board. Since February 2016.
Andy Riley, an independent dealer, stand between, Superstar Warehouse,
Chip Lindsey with the auto, primarily in Alexandria, Virginia. Yeah, I've been around 33. Oh, this is my second tour.
On Sullivan, Sullivan Auto Trading, Fredericksburg, Virginia. Around 30, 40.
You may have gotten somewhat of an introduction, but make all this work, that's what I'm introducing yourselves. So
No, but years ago, I used to be your field representative out in, Suffolk. My name is Lisa McNaught, and
See you.
I have managers, I'm the, operations manager.
Right now, with office.
Alice Whedon, administrative assistant.
Back. The whole person.
Barbara Andre, the captain in charge of the joint operations. The department manager.
And since we're introducing and recognizing, I want to go ahead this time and recognize Ann Majors. The last time we met, she was the interim operations manager. She was a successful candidate to fill the vacancy created when Rick Syke retired, so she is now the full-time operations manager.
Looking at the minutes from our March 11th meeting, any discussion or concern before entering those for approval? Okay, we'll vote on that. All right, we're gonna approve the meeting notes from March 11th. Vote. No objection. All right. Public comment period, and I think we'll probably do that in relation to the specific cases, but is there anyone that wants to speak that has not yet spoken to this? Nope, we're just doing the public. New business, right, it's very, no worry. All right, we will move into our committee reports. First committee up is Dealer Practices Committee, Vice Chair Andrew Wiley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we call our meeting to order at 9 this morning. There was a quorum. We approved our we approved our March. We approved our March summary. There's no old business from the floor, and under new business, we have 2 items. We have one.
Staff one, River City Auto Sales and Susanna Kim. Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence report as prepared by the hearing officer concerning River Auto Sales and Susanna Kim for alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1547 and 46.2-1575, number 2. Whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following actions should be taken against River Auto Sales and Susanna Kim. 1, assess a civil penalty of $2,500, and 2, River City Auto Sales shall be inspected by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative within 90 days, and that inspection shall be satisfactory. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Susanna Kim hereby be assessed a civil penalty of $2,500, and the River City Auto Sales dealership shall be satisfactorily pass an inspection conducted by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative on or before August 13th, 2024. Now, therefore, be it further resolved by the board that failure to comply with the board's mandates by the required dates will result in the suspension of all licenses and certificates issued by the board until such time the River City Auto Sales dealership and Susanna Kim successfully complies with the board's mandates.
Thank you for that report, William, on that one. Is there any discussion that's needed on the board?
Yes.
All right.
I'll second.
Second, okay, just put it into the record. Okay.
No, I got discussion.
And we could do that after. We do it after you, okay, so we've entered it into the record, now we'll do it this. Okay, entered into the record, yes, any discussion?
Obviously, I give a tremendous amount of respect to the hearing officer.
Don, you asked her, did she know that she had not had insurance? She said yes. Melissa, you asked her how long? It was like 6 months. I saw no valid reason we should reduce community policy violation, or what she calls a fair violation. And Nick, I guess it's for you, because you were the one put the motion on the floor to reduce it in half. And so maybe she took the same enthusiasm that she took to come to this meeting. I think the insurance company would then. I just don't see any reason not to support.
So I did make a motion and it passed. I don't think and I agree with you, Maurice, I don't think the facts of the case were, came here, clean record. She came here, admitted that she made a mistake. She explained some of the circumstances of why the mistake occurred. It seemed legitimate to me that the person works. That's why I made the motion. But I understand, 100% agree with everything you said, other than that I disagree with you. But I don't think any of the facts are in dispute. It's just the amount that you want to find, and that was my.
Yeah, I just don't want people sitting at home watching this on TV. I figure if you just come to the board, you can get it reduced in half. And I know it's not that simple, because I mean, I think we all listen to every case and give it value for what it is, for what we value. I just want to, so I get to vote against this recommendation now.
When it falls to the vote, you can say that.
Okay.
You were trained that. I'm assuming this is part of the discussion. Absolutely. So it's something that should have been well known, that, hey, drop your insurance.
But she went through that class last 4 years, yes. She went through that.
It's like every document.
Yeah. Not to reiterate. The facts are not in dispute. She came in here, apologetic, clean record. So the amount of fine is the only thing. But she has never disputed once that she didn't make a mistake. She knew her insurance was bad. That she was lucky that she didn't have a claim or an accident. But none of that. I do think her remedy is much better, because she's now separated her property insurance from her liability insurance, which to me makes sense, because she had a claim was on the property insurance, which she was disputing. I was explaining, my guess is, and I don't know, they have a hailstorm, then you have these guys riding around going, hey, I noticed you had some damage on your roof, I can get you a new roof. And insurance companies have caught on to that. And that's probably where the dispute started. And then all of a sudden, she's thinking she's getting a new roof. This guy's explained that to her. And then now, wait, oh, my building's built in the 70s. I've appreciated that. So what she thought's a $10,000 claim probably becomes $1,000 claim. She's arguing about that. But to me, it felt like a realistic scenario. Came in, she was apologetic. She knew she did wrong. That's why I was. I've been on here, I guess, a year and a half. 5,000 is a larger penalty than normally assessed for things that people have done repeatedly. This is the first time. That's why.
Just to touch on that, the fact that people come in multiple times, can't maintain the business hours in smaller fines. I just think that is so out of order tonight. Just have a dealer's license. You get the cab stand down the street all the time. Just don't even operate as a dealer. That bothers me. But, also, what it listed, she had 4 dealer titles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dealer agent.
Yes.
Yeah.
$600
for each one.
only $400. Down 4 in line, but it's 8.
Six.
What he claimed was 4.
She has 4 now.
It's just.
Four now.
She had 8 at the time.
Yeah, $600.
Yeah.
I have 8. But at the
You have them
time-
now?
At
8.
the time, at the time, it was still 8.
Does say four.
Yeah, I said 20. Under the informal conference recommendations, it listed out the 800 and 600 for each of the 8 dealer tax that were uninsured for days, plus a $500 adjusted price of 5,000. That was the. Instead of steep. Well, I mentioned Don, you mentioned it, but it compares to other penalties. It kind of brings me to a broader question. We need to take off. Apart from this case, we need to look at our fees and fines. Review those, because if we think $600 is reasonable for tag, then we ought to stick with the recommendation. If we don't think it's reasonable, to make an exception, but then we owe it to ourselves to go back and look at the recommendation. Since that is, if somebody just pays the fine, it doesn't come all the way to the hearing, if they adjudicate out early in the process, they're gonna be paid. But if they take it all the way to the end, they might get a reduction. So it feels inconsistent to me.
Well, I mean, I think we always talk about people not showing, not having. Our show. Seems appropriate. I think the issue with the fines is that Christian can speak to this, but it's that based on different sections of the code, they don't always specifically deal with X, Y, or Z related to, you know, so the tag issue, like printing, tempo on demand tags. We don't charge $600 per, we chose a smaller number because it's such a, we were finding people $200,000 and $300,000 for those violations. And then, yet, this tag issue becomes $600 because that's what the code says you can do. So, I mean, there are some inconsistencies in that regard, but there are also broader categories of things that I think we're within our rights to use our judgment board to say, that doesn't seem to really reflect the true violation.
I will say this is interesting, as you were talking of, was reflecting 600. It's probably the uninsured, it's set equivalent to the uninsured motorist fee. Yes, and we don't make exceptions to individuals in that situation. I'm just saying, you guys could with the dealer plates, but we have lots of individuals that come before us that whose insurance is lapsed and they've not replaced it, have paid $600 fine. If they have multiple vehicles, they have to pay it per vehicle, and there's no exceptions to it as an individual. I'm just saying, from a fairness standpoint, if you didn't have insurance on your vehicle,
Mr. Chairman, let me ask you a question. There has to be an appeal to, you're not the law.
Nope, it goes through a hearing process first.
So if I want to appeal that,
You can. It's
if I get to the end of the appeal, if I get to the end of the appeal, whoever says it's $300, they're allowed to do that.
And I guess the other side of it is that.
And I'm saying that and my folks may correct me, but
Just to get you. That can't happen.
that's exactly right.
It's exempted at 600. So there is no opportunity.
So a judge can't.
Well, a judge can do whatever.
I learned that.
So
I will tell you that the appeal, and that would probably not be appealed very positive. That judge's ruling.
That's not my question. My question is, at the end of the thing, I want to appeal that. That person at the end of the appeal, the judge, can reduce that. You just said that. We are the end of this process. This board can do the same thing. Now, it may be inconsistent.
I'm just pointing out the inconsistency, not that we don't have the authority. But the inconsistency is that as an individual private citizen,
We're not using, like, I mean, as a dealer, you don't have 8 plates running around on all at the same time. So, I mean, it's not an equivalent. There's somebody owns two vehicles and they're driving to and from where they don't have insurance, that makes sense, but as a dealer, I mean, I have 16 plates at my store, and we don't have 16 plates assigned. Then you get into how many plates you normally have, and all the rest of that. That, again, I get the inconsistency compared to, but I don't think we're comparing.
Well,
I got to say.
At one point, you just, if it's just gonna be that, then why have four?
I was gonna say the same thing. So what I love about this broad difference in our operations of what we do, we got insurance man sitting here, we got small dealers, big dealers. Is we all have a great idea of somebody coming in here causing damage and intentional damage of us. And even in this case here, we didn't feel Miss Kim was intentionally doing that. We feel she missed it and she was trying to screw around and get it and missed it. It was obviously something she didn't say I didn't do it. We said you did do it. We just chose just to reduce that amount. So that's that one.
So when Don asked her, did she know? She said yes. When Melissa asked her, she said it was like 6 months.
Well, but the insurance is only 3 months.
So November, 2 months. So when Nick said that you thought it was excessive, I thought it was a fair amount. Before you got on the board, we passed somebody $28,000, which to me was death sentence. So I thought the hearings officer recommendation was very reasonable. And I had just seen no merit that said just because you come here, we're gonna cut it in half.
And I 100% agree with everything. I think it's pretty, but that's very hard.
The little part of it,
I think the board.
we can vote on it,
I hope you're here on the board when I come in.
I hope you're not here. I'm gonna refuse myself for free.
Very good. Because a lot of what we're gonna be talking about are business decisions. The decisions that we get that are knowingly made at a dealership at any one particular time. You know if it's right or you know it's wrong. And if you know it's wrong, it's wrong. And you're taking a gamble as to what the penalty's gonna be. I think you have a very valid point that some of these things do come back to basic business.
Mr. Chairman, I think those are no's. So we can vote and see how it goes.
Before I ask the public, if they want to add any, Ms. Kim, if you want to add anything additional, are there any other new comments to add to the discussion? All right, Ms. Kim, you don't have to address the board. Is there anything additional that you want to say? And if so, you please take the podium. If not, that's okay. I think.
But, you know, I just being here and listening to all the conversation, this in itself is really a great work.
All right, we'll take a vote on the hearing officer's recommend, one we entered in the report and the committee's decision to issue a $2,500, $2,500 fine and a satisfactory inspection. So all those in favor, let's, this one's gonna be, let's do a vote by person rather than a roll call. So Tom, why don't you start us off? Yeah. Okay. Oh, you gonna call that specifically, Alice? She's got a report. Go ahead.
Jeff Ballard.
Yeah.
Alexis Parker Taplet. Tom Barton. Tom. Trevor Coley. Melissa Dunn. Lindsay. Chris Mayor.
Okay.
Tim from Hampton.
Okay.
Nick Rush. Maurice Slaughter.
You're here on.
John Sullivan.
Here.
Yay or nay?
Oh.
Andrew Wiley.
Okay.
Gerald Lack.
Nay. Right, the vote passes. So we will be issuing the recommendation as. All right, Mr. Childress, you read BC Auto and Steve Burns.
BC Auto, and Stephen Kirk. Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence, report of informal fact finding conferences prepared by the hearing officer concerning BC Auto and Stephen Kirk for alleged violations of Virginia Code Section 46.2-1550. And whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following action should be taken against BC Auto and Stephen Kirk. Issued a written warning. Virginia Code Section 46.2-1550. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Stephen Kirk hereby be issued a written warning regarding 46.2-1550.
I have a motion to adopt. Second. All right, is there any discussion on that recommendation?
Maurice?
I'd like to say one thing is, the only part about the issue that really kind of bothered me was it didn't seem to be any real accountability. I don't know if that came up in your discussion, but throughout the hearing process and everything, there was no accountability for, you know what? I really did use that tag wrong, but I have a hard time believing the story that it was, yes, he worked for us, but he was really a customer in this instance, and it just happened to have a vehicle also that he was towing that was his, and, you know, but it wasn't really, and he took the vehicle, and I can't be responsible for what people do with the vehicle. I don't know. It felt to me like there was a lack of like accountability for I could have done better. But did that come up in the discussion at all this morning?
Well, a little bit. I mean,
There's more.
the gentleman who's here indicated, you know, he's been in business for long time, never had a violation. The form was filled out. We live in a rural area, and I guess, you know, Chris really brought it up. The concern, I think a lot of us have is like, what responsibility do we have as dealers after we issue one of these permission forms to somebody? That we're gonna be held accountable for what those people are doing while they're out test driving these vehicles. You know, I don't think there was any, like strong evidence in the case that said, you know, Mr. Alterman, you know, that there was some knowledge of what he was gonna be doing or anything. Maybe you could have some suspicion based on whatever, but as a dealer, and I know operating my place, I mean, we issue permission to drive forms to dozens of people a day. We don't go with them. The field agent actually recommended that to him, but a lot of places, there's one person working, two people working, you can't do test drives. Used car dealer, I know the new car guys don't have as much to worry about in that regard because they have other staff, but for us, you know, we give somebody permission to drive for them for 20 hours. They end up throwing stuff in the back of the pickup truck, doing those, then we're gonna get penalized for it. It just doesn't seem. That, I think that was the. That's the concern I would have trying to. Yes, we have an obligation to make sure we instruct people that we're not supposed to do certain things.
The code specifies it is. And they can meet somebody else, and that's not something we can do. I'm just curious. If the code says the dealer is responsible, but we're saying like, you can't be responsible. And
Well, I mean, it's the interpretation of what is permit. Does permit just mean if it happens after you issue the plate, you're responsible? Or does permit mean you're aware that they're gonna be doing it? Somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to test drive that truck so I can go buy. No.
lawyers like to tell us about terms. So what is permit?
To suggest that we do it, you know, engage in that something and permit. I mean, the total interpretation, I would have been without digging into, but I need to change. Have to look at.
What would happen in the case of dealer that lets someone borrow a car on a Christian Drive because their car's in the shop. And their job happens to be hauling something. Whether it's trash, whether it's construction worker bringing supplies back to the house that he's working at. How would that be applied?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think again, like suggest, like the scenario you just brought up, I think it's a case by case. How much does that dealer know perhaps?
But if I knowingly know that he's a construction worker, but his car is in the shop, and we're giving him a car to drive because of that, would that then put me in violation? Because I know he's gonna put whatever in the back.
Yeah, I'm gonna hesitate to just answer hypothetical to say, like, because anything's gonna be possible. So, I mean, I think each time you're adding or anything like that, you're getting closer to it, but I think that's why it's a case by case basis. And I think, like your points before, every fact is different in the case for here, and you have to discuss it. I think that area closer. Well, that's gonna happen.
Dealer's responsibility to let the customer know what the law is and put the dealer type on the truck, on his instruction. It's illegal. So I think it's a dealer's responsibility. Explain the laws. Use of the dealer.
Mr. Kerr update his forms because he was pretty adamant about my form is approved, but it's the old form. And I think the newer forms are more updated and specific.
I think, Commissioner, I think your question was too, was it a customer or was it an employee? Because it's an employee because, I want to drive that truck. I need to do something.
Here's an example that we can look at. Okay, so we said something about a construction worker. What do construction workers do? They swing hammers and saws and all that stuff. They're gonna put that stuff in the car and go to work. Same thing, the guy who's, works in an office, he's gonna grab his briefcase, his laptop, he's gonna stick it in there. Is he in violation? I think that's what we have us in place to go look at this and say, no, we don't see that as a violation. It's different than a guy who's hauling stuff for a living who has used it for consecutive times, emergency permission to use a dealer tag or on a car is something we're allowed to do. Now, we need to change the code, make sure that no one says you can't use anything personal for that. I don't know if we have enough position.
That was my next question. So the gentleman that was actually hit. Dump truck. His issues now. Taking care of other, that's what. The system worked, everything in place worked. The only issue was I don't want to over litigate every one of them, but I appreciate the discussion. Is there anyone else who would like to weigh in on this? All right, Mr. Who identified yourself? All right, again, same as Ms. Kim, if you would like to address us, you may, but I don't. Anyone have questions for us?
I'm well pleased with Eddie's recommendation.
Not opposed to that, thank you.
Whether the deal is corrected or the board corrected or whomever. And I promise you, this will probably happen right today, as I told you. This gentleman here probably learned that Judge Wood in Spanish. I was at a dealership. He came in, wanted to use the truck to move the couch. He was told that he couldn't haul anything. And he said, I never heard such thing, don't come back for it. I want to throw him back. He passed away, so I called him. Boy, he's a great guy. But I think that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to bring across, that, you know, you come in today, you may not have any intention of hauling anything, but you get to your mother-in-law's house and she wants this taken to the trash. Yeah, I certainly hope you ain't gonna tell her, no, I don't want to come to that Thanksgiving stuff. But anyway, I appreciate the concern, appreciate you taking the time, and I wouldn't drive a couple 100 miles, spend time unless I felt like gray area here. This seems to be corrected, but I shouldn't be punished for something out of act.
I have a question. Answer your question.
Yes.
If I came into your dealership today and wanted to test drive one of your trucks.
Today, I will tell you, you can't haul anything.
Okay.
In the same respect, if you've got in your mind that you're gonna go pick up something, you're gonna sign that document, you're gonna be glad to leave, and I shouldn't be pointing to you, but you're probably still gonna go do it. And I'm in a rural area where a lot of people just, you know, we have
You would tell
respect.
me what the law was.
Sir?
You would tell me.
I would from this point on, and I'm thinking of even handwriting a section and have you initial. But there again, you know, we go through that procedure and you leave and you've made up your mind you're gonna take the trash or pick up the couch or do someone a favor, most likely still gonna do it. So I don't know if there's any way to put a cap on this to where it will not or cannot happen. It's just, we gotta hope that it doesn't become a constant major problem and that we all understand we have a duty and a job to do. And that's part of it.
I'm not a voting member, of course, but I do have a comment, on something he just said. One of the things we always try to encourage the dealer community to be aware of is situations like this and other situations. It's your best interest to document, sign off, have the customer's on the account. That way, at least the intent was there, that you did tell him that he couldn't. He did do it, how much more you can do. Okay, I think that's a great suggestion.
In a circumstance where
Right.
there's somebody doing something they shouldn't do, that I have no control.
Right, and for the board, for you to know, we get these cases not because we run upon them, we get these cases, people take pictures and send them to us. So what we see is a dealer tag, hauling something, whether it's trash in the back of the trunk or another vehicle behind it. This is how we get these cases. So we don't know the story when we get the pictures, but we just know that the code is very specific. They're under dealer tag, not be hauling.
Yes, I understand.
Just as you said, we have a separate form. So if there's an emergency transfer that takes place for a 5-day use of one of our loaner cars.
Yes.
Okay, we have a separate form and it states down there, number one, we call their insurance company, say, hey, we're transferring this tag to one of our cars. And we make sure they have insurance, so we know what on that issue. You could easily just slide in another place there. Hey, cannot use this loaner vehicle to load or haul or move anything. And have an initial and sign the bottom. It's just a way for you to see why
I just think there's a difference in a loaner vehicle and one that you're putting that protest on.
Correct.
With the executive.
Not opening up a can of worms.
Yeah, yeah, but
I didn't want to open up a can of worms. I usually tell you not to talk.
Like I said, in 52 years, you know, I try to do the best I can.
I feel honored to be here today. Well, these years of service.
He's 77 years old now. I have to trust it. Moving ahead. At this point, I said 75, now 77. Mark 80 on the calendar. You'll see what happens. I just don't want to dwell with flash and blood stain on my foot. Mr. Chairman, I think we can bring it. That's fine. Put your phone. That's
Yeah, I don't put this on the side, have a discussion on it. think there were two things, like, code, I'm not sure it's a big enough issue. The other one is one of the
Now I'm saying, right, okay. Extend it. Takes so long. Now. 15-day admissions.
Let's look at it, because I'm a big believer in solving these problems before they come back up over, and if we're solving the symptoms, if we can solve the underlying problem, that would be great.
They're too short.
They're too short, they can't get, its intended purpose is to get a motor job or a transmission job, helping the consumer get the car back on the road for 5 days, you just ask us to commit fraud.
And in all honesty, being from a rural area, the 10 days or 12 days, I mean, the transmission, you're looking on something.
Yeah,
Because
it's
they got
2
2
5
weeks.
days,
Yeah,
exactly.
you've got 2 weeks just to wait to get the appointment back.
So you got that. Appreciate it, guys. All right, so with that, let's vote on the recommendation from the committee. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right. Motion carries. That is.
Yep, so, there's no business from the floor, and we scheduled our next meeting for July 8th, 2024. We adjourn.
Next up is the licensing committee. Maurice.
License committee met this morning. And we have one action, no old business, and that action was Casey, salesperson, bill operator, BK Motors LLC. William?
Casey Strauss-Snyder, salesperson and dual operator, BK Motors LLC. Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence, the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning Casey Strauss-Snyder for alleged violation of Virginia Code Section 46.2-1575, numbers 8, 9, and 13. And whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following actions should be taken against Casey Strauss-Snyder. 1, a civil penalty of $2,250, and 2, revoke qualifications issued by the board. Now therefore be it resolved that the board mandates that Casey Strauss-Snyder hereby be assessed a civil penalty of $2,250, and the board has revoked her qualifications issued to Casey Strauss-Snyder. Therefore, be it both resolved by the board that failure to comply with the board's mandates will result in the suspension of all licenses until such time Casey Strauss-Snyder successfully complies with the board's mandate. And for the board, I say qualifications, it's the dealer operator qualification. Keep your salesperson or dealer operator qualification.
For 1 year.
No.
No. You have to reapply. So you reapply. I got it.
There, thank you for the report. William, is there a second for the report? Second. Chris? Second. Any discussion on the board? Ms. Strauss-Snyder, are you here? You, again, same rules apply. If you would like to address us, you may, otherwise,
Appreciate it. Well, thank you.
I'm seeing no discussion. Let's put this to a vote. All those in favor of the committee's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anything else?
No, there's no further business, meeting committee should be adjourned. Yes.
Yes, sir. We called the meeting to order, then forum. We approved the March 11th, 2024 meeting summary. There's no old business, no new business. So we adjourn and discuss at our next meeting. We have a discussion. Yes. No. And new business. Okay. We had new business. kind of concern about Tesla's advertising.
No, I got it. Mr. Chairman for the committee, Mr. Pohanka brought up two concerns, about advertising. He used Tesla's specific examples, that's what he's saying, but one of the things that we talked about was the fuel savings in the ads. In the sense that that can be bait and switch or can be something misleading because I'm trying to put a dollar figure on something that's not part of the take home price of it. And so, and then also EVs in general, as far as rebates, additional rebates, because the rebates are based on various things. So one of the things we talked about more was the fact that in this process, to look, of course, at state laws, but what came out of it was the dealer is licensed to take action against those who are not in the state. And it's a national conference. We have the Tesla situation, we received the work.
Clarify what you said. A manufacturer, national. And when I was first saying, no repercussions. That national dealer does have.
Yes, yes.
It doesn't matter that they're a national company, it's a local dealer.
True, but we do have some national organizations that are not in Virginia. I'm not talking about. For instance, some of these startups, they haven't got, they advertise. See, well, Ribbon's here, but this is mostly sometimes in the EV work. We have a couple of who are not here. Advertising markets. Yes. 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 That's why we're gonna do.
Questions, educate me, is the issue that they mentioned the gas savings, or did they try to quantify it?
They can mention it, but they're giving people the impression that the price you pay right here includes that savings.
Anything else?
That was it.
Side note, July, is that going to be a problem with July 4th?
Mother's Day.
You're one person comply. You made me feel bad for not like. All right, great. Transaction fund committee, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we met this morning. Alice called roll. We had a quorum. There was no public comment. We did move to approve the March 11th meeting summary. There was no old business or old business before, and we did have one case that we voted on and passed based on hearing officer's recommendation of tab 4. William.
Anton and Lisa Davis versus Park Central LLC. Whereas pursuant to section 46.2-1527.1 of the Code of Virginia, which is known as the Motor Vehicle Transaction Recovery Fund, the board has reviewed and considered claims for payment from the fund and the recommendations of the hearing officer on the claims. And whereas based on due consideration and recommendation of the hearing officer, the board approves and acknowledges that the applicant's claim should be payable from the fund. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board hereby approves and reaffirms the following claim and up to payment amount subject to compliance by the claimant with statutory requirements. The claimant in this case is Anton and Lisa Davis. The judgment amount is $6,464.47, and the fund payment that the committee approved this morning was $6,464.47. In addition to this, the committee also recommended that the cost, the judgment amount that the fund is paying out be tied to the owners of the dealership. They were not named in the judgment, but the board feels that it should be tagged against them. So if they try to come back into business, the Crown Business President try to come back into business, we need to satisfy this amount before we.
The person cannot. All right, is there a second under the record? All right. So I got a second.
Melissa.
Melissa. Oh, no. Any discussion on behalf of the board? Is anyone here from the public regarding this case? All right. I'm gonna put it to a vote. All those in favor of recommending, accepting the recommendation of the committee, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chair, there was no new business from the board, and we scheduled our next meeting for July 8th, 2024. Old business. Yes, either for the.
Hey, my days gonna be brief, and you may need to.
I hope it's positive. I've been watching it.
Okay. I don't have much of an update other than since the last meeting, the chairman, his capacity with the chairman and the commission, has appointed a project manager, a team to work with us on the project. And with that team is DMV personnel, the project manager, Joe Vitola here, IT person on the committee as well, and systems automation's project manager. And what we're looking at various things. We're looking at things, I guess, going over the whole project plan, first of all, to make sure that nothing's been missed. And number two, with emphasis though placed on the connectivity or the connections through DMV, which includes security, which goes through required compliance issues, and which includes some data transfer things, make sure things are in place. So this is a, I guess, just to make sure everything's in line that needs to be in place. So that's where we are now. So right now, meetings are taking place. We're still having those meetings. I don't have any idea of how quickly it's going to be done with, not with you, but hopefully by the next board meeting, we'll have some more information in terms of dates and what you're doing.
Thanks, Chris. Recovery fund. Mr. Commissioner and board, we were tasked as a committee with looking at two different things. The committee met on January 8th and on March 13th, and a quorum was present at both those meetings. We discussed two issues before us that you had asked us to do. One of those, should the transaction recovery fund maximum payout be increased? The current amount is $25,000. Number two, are there any recommended legislative changes to the fund? And 46.2-1527.2 and 46.2-1527.3. Both items generated a lot of great discussion, and the board staff did an excellent job of providing the committee with historical data associated with the fund and other information requests. Item number one, should the fund maximum payout be increased? This matter was initially brought to the table by the board by Mr. Thomas Bates, who at the time felt the $25,000 max may be too low, given the cost of the vehicle is significantly higher, since the $25,000 maximum payout was put into place in 2012. Prior to that, prior to 2012, it was a $20,000 payout. The committee reviewed the historical data, the number of claims, total amount of payout, the average payout, claim circumstances, etc., and learned how the bonding requirements, $50,000 for 3 consecutive years without a claim work. The committee unanimously voted not to recommend increasing the maximum payout for the fund at this time. Item number two, are there any recommendations for changes to the fund, i.e. adding 46.2-1527.2, loss for damage resulting from the breach of an extended service contract as defined by code 59.1-435, entered into on or after April 8, 1994, to 46.2-1527.3 to make claims against the bond consistent with claims against the fund. This issue was initially raised by Micah Bailey, the fund analyst, and supported by William Childress, the director, due to the number of cases viewed over the years involving extended service warranties that were not executed for procedure on behalf of the consumer bond dealer. The committee, after discussion that involved some input from the Trade Associations felt there was no need to change 46.2-1527.3. This was unanimous. Board staff will attempt to collect information forward to all extended service. And Mr. Chairman, I would like to report, myself. Did you generate impact?
What did you know that? So much money. That's not sold by.
We just looked at. So.
I was just wondering how many.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. definitely.
So it's not just about.
No.
Right,
Yeah.
so the fund only gonna pay the dealer. Well, so yeah, so if anything like that, they should come to our office. It would be good to see that. I've bought, like many of us bought and sold, but dude, I get, every time I've sold a vehicle, you get like bought out of lease, like, you come in, it looks semi-official, and it's a BMW at the top, that's my card. I've wondered about that, and I would be curious to see if the Consumer Affairs Division does have, I see a hand up.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, the Attorney General's office has been very, active over the years on this subject. We've talked to them back and forth, about these sort of unsolicited, advertisements for. It's not an easy thing to get your arms around. The companies are not necessarily located in Virginia. And unfortunately, the data about who buys cars is readily available through a number of sources. It's not necessarily an inappropriate use of DMV information. A lot of people have to know when you buy a car, your finance company, the insurance company, all of those folks are probably covered under Graham Wiley, and you probably have a chance to opt out, but if you can figure out how to do it, Godspeed to you. So it's just a difficult issue to get your arms around. We've tried over the years and through several different attorneys general have always been receptive, but it's just really a difficult.
Probably not.
Well, I mean, it's always good to be vigilant and look, but it's difficult to go after companies that aren't looking at all, and also just draw one market itself. And as an extended service contract is not insurance. That is not, it's not an insurance product. It's separately regulated. I think there's just a registration requirement, and I also don't know about solicitations. I mean, if they come from it's sort of like a dealer that from another state that advertises online or sends something in unless you can get jurisdiction over them.
Is that a Virginia decision to not treat it as insurance?
Yes, for a lot of valid reasons, because if you all are selling a product in your dealership as an extended service contract, all of your people have to be licensed insurance agents if that was the case. So it's treated separately. There's a separate, I don't know, Christian, if you know the code section, maybe outside your bailiwick, but there's a registration requirement for the company, and then they have to, the company that's underwriting the policy, there are financial, yeah.
Close.
Yeah, right. You have to get appointed by that company, but yeah, there's, financial health requirements, if you will, for lack of a better term, but it's not the same as an insurance company that's regulated by Bureau Insurance. I think it's regulated through Agriculture and Consumer Affairs still. Is that possible? I don't know. Yeah.
F&I's used to sell credit life too. They
did.
didn't sell that much anymore. So that was a different insurance product requiring that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
maybe I'm not gonna go after the online
Yeah, sure,
conversation with you, but maybe there's even a way to carve it out, so if you're not a registered dealer present in Virginia, then it is gonna be treated. Have a service facility here or something, maybe, I don't know enough about the code and what would be allowed, but it seems to be the problem is people, non-dealers from out of state. I don't know how many people, but I
Yeah.
don't know the jurisdiction. Thank you, I have no other questions. That concludes my report. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, and you wanna do any of the association updates from DADA?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We don't really have anything to update, since the last meeting. Nothing to report on the legislative front. And, so, okay, I think I've been more time. Thank you.
Thank you. Alvin, anything from the independent?
Sure. I'd just like to mention that the Virginia Independent Dealer Association just had its annual convention in Richmond. And we had a fantastic time, lots of educational opportunities, and for those who came, it was a good time.
It was fun, and I'm glad I did not get picked to go up on stage to do the trivia, because I would not have won. But it was a good. Back to you, Mr. Childress, on the July 1st, 2025 call.
Okay. I will be brief as possible. The first thing is a DMV issue for the most part, but it's something that all of you are familiar with. The uninsured motor vehicle fee, is no longer after July 1st, effective July 1st, that doesn't apply. And the big thing here, of course, is that on the buyer's order, there's a line item on the order. So the person doesn't have insurance, they could get the uninsured motor vehicle fee at the time, which is usually about 1/12 of what that fee was. So with that now not being required, Virginia is now a insurance state. So everybody got, so all of the customers have to have insurance, I guess, on the vehicle. But that's an issue that, if you have any questions, we need to talk to the Business Services section at DMV, and they will talk through that. But for you and for the dealer community, the dealer board staff and the dealer board field rep, as they do their inspections, as they identify where this is happening after July 1st, point it out to the dealer. But the dealer needs to understand that that's going to have to be a complete refund back to the consumer. If anything, July 1st. Do that, we're going to require them to get money back to the customer because it's not required after June 30th. The next issue is House Bill 1106, which was sponsored by Delegate Wyatt and Senator Marshall, which is Senate Bill 452. And this corrects legislation from a couple of years ago. This is dealing with the dealer operator examination at the Department of DMV. When we changed the requirements a couple of years ago to take it from a 3-year program to a 2-year recertification requirement, and we took it from being a telephone listening type thing to a instructor-led course, whether it's in person or via social media. The part of the test that allowed a dealer operator to go to DMV, take the test, was omitted. So this right here corrects that. So now that dealer operator has 3 options, basically. They can take the class in person, they can take the class via social media, in those situations with the instructor-led, or they can go to DMV and take the test at DMV again. Historically, in the past, we had maybe 10 people in the whole state throughout the year take the examination. But I'm thinking with the price of the 4-hour course now, more people may try to take the class. But I don't think it'll be something that's going to saturate the whole run. But that's still the law as of July 1st. The last piece of legislation I'm going to bring to attention, and it's something we're going to discuss in more detail in a few minutes, would be House Bill 1107, which was sponsored by Delegate Wyatt. And this right here, the existing code allows the dealer board to charge a inspection fee, or examination fee, when the field reps find a violation at a dealership. And the current code speaks to the fact that it has to be actual cost, which means that each time that we were found a violation at a dealership, we have to go back and compute the charges based off of the field rep who found it, the distance traveled, the salary, all those things. So in the past, we just haven't done that unless the board specifically put them out there, which at one time, I can remember something. With the law now being changed to the board can now set the examination cost. That's something that we going forward, if we can incorporate into the penalty, if there is one for the dealership. So, but the caveat here is though, we can only charge this examination visit when there's a violation. Clean report, clean inspection, there's no issue. If there's a violation, we can charge this. And later on, I guess, next segment, when we get to new business, I'm gonna come back to you with my proposals of formative, which we discuss. But again, this law takes effect July 1st. So if we don't get it today, we still have, we still have in the future to come to an agreement on what that amount should be in circumstances in which we would charge this fee. But that's the law as of July 1st, that the board now has the ability to set the examination fee, and that's when we use this blanket regardless of the situation.
Those fees will be imposed by this committee, correct?
By committee,
But
the board won't set that fee, yes.
Correct.
And that money will stay with the does not go to the Department of Transportation, it stays with the.
Let's think about things. How many, and would it be helpful in the issue of the uninsured motorists to have banking services?
I'm not sure how many of our dealers, actually collect that. I went back and looked, it's not on the form buyers or that we put out, it has something that we got to print on, not face there. So I don't think we're doing that much, but we'd be glad to put something in our newsletter and send out to the dealers. I mean, it never hurts to remind folks of that. So absolutely.
So-
That's something, even if you've got a link to, your website where you've written up some information on it, you could just, put a little blurb in that says, those right here, those not duplicating any efforts.
And Alvin, to that level,
Yeah, a lot of the independent and franchise dealers is outside buyers or from their DMS companies, independent. So it will be good to have some verbiage to send to all of them, so that they have the demand.
maybe we'll do a social media story with a link to something a bit more.
Really.
Okay. Thank you. And any old business from the floor?
I'll bring one thing for you, Mr. Chairman, is that, we talked before about a situation where, paper tags being purchased online. I sent you an email after the meeting, went back and looked. I went back and looked again. You could purchase Virginia paper tags on Facebook Marketplace. That's something, we mentioned earlier about it being $50 fine because there's so many of them. I think if there's something that's being sold, that's obviously criminal, but we need to think about that from our standpoint.
I've seen that, Tim, Mr. Chairman. I'm not so sure what's out there right now is not just completely, like they're just.
It could very well
I think
be.
they're just making it up out of thin air. It's not like they're going into the DMV. I'm not saying there's not cases of it still being done, but it's very limited right now. And I think what you might be seeing is just literally, they're saying, get them from Colorado, get them from Texas, get them from Virginia. They're putting it out there, but I think they're actually giving somebody who's probably just completely made up. Just what I'm saying.
I did forward that to our law enforcement, so let me see, they may have an case. Voucher. All right, that's it for the old business. New business, says periodic review. And
Yeah. This won't take a couple minutes. Every 4 years, required to review our 3 regulations. First one, I think it's in your packet. It's just an Excel spreadsheet of the 3 regulations. We have public participation guidelines, motor vehicle dealer fees, and advertising practices. Those are our 3 regulations. And every 4 years, we are required to review them, see if we want to make any changes, if we're going to remain the same. And basically this board, we've done our review, we've had the public comment, But this board needs to vote to approve or not approve the periodic review recommendation of maintaining the regulations as is. Any questions?
Sorry, I was looking. You wanted to. Do we need a motion? We need a motion. We need a vote on that. Oh, let's go. Do that. A motion to accept, Dan's report. I'll make the motion to accept Dan's report and move forward with no changes. All right, so second. Slaughter, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Ann. William, I think back to you on the examination.
Okay, so earlier I spoke to you about, I guess, the legislation, which is House Bill 1107, sponsored by Delegate Wyatt. This is the bill that he put in place to give the board the ability to change the separate fee for examination. Okay, give you an idea of what I'm speaking of. Examination fee would not take place when we open it. If we're trying to open them until they meet all of the requirements, we want them. One would not be required. A follow-up inspection usually is a period where we still educate the dealer about what they can and they cannot do. So I would probably say to you, the examination fee in this situation would probably be rare, and only when something egregious is done. Be very rare. A board mandate inspection, you, the board, tells the dealer that an inspector will come back to the dealership. That's board mandated. In that situation, we can only assess this fee if there's a violation found. They're clean. A random inspection, this is more likely the culprit where we find most of the violations. We just randomly show up with operating hours, get listed, we find them. Okay, so that's where we probably find most of them. Change of location, it's an inspection that we do. It can be very rare if we find a violation. We probably will be looking for one, but at that point, we're making sure that the places they're going to meets the statutory requirement in terms of space, signs, and things of that nature. Investigation inspection, which is based off of a complaint or some type of suspicion of activity. And some investigations we go in by ourselves, and other inspections we go in with DMV. There's a possibility of a criminal offense committed, or DMV's knowledge that we need to be there for the record, or something else. And closing inspection, no. Now, what I've done, what the staff has done to assist you is we've gone back and looked at everything that we do for an inspection. And we met with the field reps last week, and we had this discussion with them as well, so they're aware of it. Number one, we came to the conclusion that the average inspection time period is about an hour. So it'll be an hour. We have some inspections that take a lot longer. We have some that might take 35 to 40 minutes, but we came to the conclusion that 1 hour would be fair for this right here. We also looked at the salary, the average salary of the field reps. We looked at the equipment as far as the car and the gas that they're driving and using. We looked at the computers, the telephone that they use. Are they doing inspection? These are all things part of get the work done. We looked at the average miles that they drive to get to a place. And some places, the field rep might go 10 miles in a whole day and cover 6 dealerships. In Southwest part of the state, he might go 250 miles to cover 3 dealerships. Look at that. And from where we are. So we came to the conclusion that we just use 21 miles as the average mileage, based on this cost. With all those things said, when you look at the hourly pay, the cost of the vehicle, the miles per, the average mile, which we based off the federal form of 54 cents a mile, equipment, comes to the cost of inspection, we're recommending to the board that they cost be $750. We're not trying to, make money off it necessarily, so they're trying to put it up, but the actual cost came in around like $49 and something. We're trying to. That's what I would recommend to the board. And for this fee, that would be what we use to, I guess, for example, it's a new fee. Or if it's not, what's the existing? No, the existing cost in the code says we could do this, but it had to be actual. Company. And to go back and compute every single situation against the field rep's salary, everything was just too tedious, too much work.
Well, let me ask you, if we vote to set it at $50, does that mean that if you want to raise it to 75 in a couple of years, should we vote? Or can we, the board has to vote? Okay. That's your intention, so just set it at 50 now and run it until you decide. Correct. Correct. Have you reimbursed the field agents for the penalty miles per gallon and gas? State cost.
They're not, the field reps are not out of anything on the pot. They got it right now. But the purpose here is, well, number one, by finding the violation, hopefully it'll help them message that, that we will charge them for it. And number two, you have to go back a lot of times because of what we found. And then going back and forth like that, you're not able to go over here.
I just started feeling.
Well, that's what, unless his vehicle was being serviced or in an accident being repaired. And at that point, we give them an option of getting a rental car. And some of them, sometimes want to use their own. But we encourage them not to do that. But we don't stop them. In that case, yeah, he will get reimbursed for the mileage.
All right, so $50 if a violation is found. Okay, now, and you say you have to go back, $50 each time going back about the violation.
If we found a violation. We don't find a violation.
Right, but if you come in and you find a violation, then you turn around and say, okay, within 30 days, or if it goes before the court or something, so within 30 days, you have to have another good review. So you can get charged that $50 because it's being made because of the previous violation.
If we go back, never found another violation.
So it encompasses the revisit to verify that the first issue was taken care of. Yes. Any other discussion on it?
I'm just not sure. I'm not sure why. It's still the violation, you're coming back because of that initial violation.
We may not have to.
Okay, but if you have to, why wouldn't there be another $50 cost? Because it shouldn't be that the state has to pay that.
What you're talking about is the original visit is free. So you're paying the $50 to come back. Because they don't charge you though.
If
When you
we
really,
hadn't
yeah.
had
If
a
I come
violation.
and there's no violation, that's a free.
And
So
I'm
you're getting the
presuming-
$50 for coming back.
Okay, and I'm
It's just when
presuming
you time.
that if the agent goes there and they're not open, that's automatically.
It's a whole separate thing, but it can be part of it.
Okay.
All right, so a motion to begin charging $50 inspection fee, which would be inclusive of any revisit on that first file. What's the next motion? Is there a second? John seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, seeing no opposed, motion carries. Next, is that all from the, all right. New business from the floor. I had two things to quickly let you know, and then I'll pass it over to William again for the scheduling of the next meeting. Executive Director report. We are, I missed my end of April deadline to kick off our e-titling working group, but it may come out this week or the week after, but I think it's gonna be this week. We put together, we're committed as part of DMV to getting a fully electronic signature. No other state, especially West Virginia, have actually done it successfully and secure. It's something we care a lot about, but it's something that we have to look at both sides of, which is how do we make it easy for that transaction to occur and prevent fraud. And the biggest fraud is gonna be to have a paper title. Now they have an electronic title, and both titles give them access. That's the biggest challenge that, we've got some ways we're thinking about is similar to how, you know, you might ever electronic deposit a check. Have to wait for it and looking. It's gonna bring together two committees, the steering committee, it's gonna have some senior representation, and a couple of the interested parties who were part of resolution. So, and then we're gonna have a research council that sits below that. There are gonna be people that are recommended from each of those different groups that are gonna be a little bit more on the side of the process. I can really understand how people so that they can work alongside of the steering committee twice a year, and the research council will be quarterly, and then I think that we can get things done. Pretty exciting. I'll be bringing stuff back to the board next. Second thing that I want to let you all know, I had a couple offline conversations with different folks. RJ Robinson, the one who brought this to my attention, I thought is a lot of hours of operation violation. The overwhelming majority of those folks, I think, less than probably like single digits to vehicles. And one of the things I'd like us to study is if we just raised the bar of the so being like considered to be this going with something topic, but if you needed to sell a certain number of vehicles over a certain period of time, everybody has a bag here, everybody has a color bag. Over what period of time do you need to be selling a reasonable number of vehicles to be considered a dealer? Might be another way for us to create a rule that it's out of being send somebody out. I'd like to just look at it. My intention is probably run a business, whether it's a rental business, a U-Haul business, a towing business, and there's something on the side that you sell occasionally little vehicles, retail. I'm not talking wholesale. We have to consider that as part of the whole discussion. But I wanted to get a group, a working group within the dealer board here, just look at the issue similarly to what we just did with the transaction fund, look at the data and come back and say we either recommend it or doing anything different. Questions or concerns about just doing the study? Yeah. I need to think about it. I would love to be part of the study, but I can just tell you that now it could easily become the Wild West. You know, because there's two goals. Number one, the consumer who sold a car needs to have a time they can go back and get help from the dealer. The dealer has no parameters. And the consumer's like, well, I couldn't get them all there 3 times. Then we have the field rep going to do the inspections. They're out there running around in these cars and they go there and the dealer's not there. So even on the 20 hours right now, we have problems, but I think if we loosen it up, I think we'd have a real problem. I'm actually talking about tightening. We might even keep the restriction, but we can get into that in the study. I'm actually not saying we get rid of the restriction on hours, but we define a dealer, a legitimate business in practice dealer a little differently than sell one vehicle every 2 years. You get dealer tags or consider the dealer. I mean, I'm not.
So is there been a study on that? About how many dealers sell less than 5 cars a year?
We wanted to do an AMBA study, so that's our national body where we can ask them these questions and try to find out what do other states do. And, you know, I think the NADA and the NIADA probably have some information on that too. I'm not aware of any study that we've done in Virginia, and I would love to, as part of that study, look at what other states have done. Because it may point us in a direction.
I do know, Mr. Commissioner, that we lost 25% of the dealers in last year. That's right.
It goes up and down, but
we've had a hard core loss for the past year in new deals. So it's harder for smaller guys to stand this. Are they being consolidated or are they going? I think they're going out of business. Like, the price of cars is up, you know, the availability of money is down, so it's just getting harder for them to stand this.
I know it's a sensitive topic. I'm kind of that kind of guy that wants to ask a question and maybe want to get it right. I think we could look at it and if we don't find it's of any value to do anything different, that's okay. That's a legitimate.
So I guess as a fair thing, Wayne, you understand exactly what the commissioner wants on that report?
I'm understanding, but I'm also concerned about my staff.
So we can talk, maybe there's something we need to help out. Project staff. But I wouldn't want to take it out of the purview of the dealer.
Well, the dealer board reacts to the law. So the law comes out in different, so at least so many parts of the year. I'm sure that's. No, I don't have a problem with us being part of it. I don't know if you. Oh.
So I'm adamantly against telling the dealer you have to sell a certain part of the license. I think you should be able to put a license on the wall, stand there with your telephone, never sell a car unless we choose. If that's what you choose, then you have to get it. I think the system in place now actually creates. In other words, most dealerships are not one person. No way. All try to do that. Problems. It's usually these two. You got somebody else with time to go. You're twisting it.
I may not
idea what you're. You may not idea what you're where you're talking about tightening up.
Why don't we do that?
Offline. Okay.
Because we might not see eye to eye, but I think you should be part of it then, because and whoever, anyone else.
I'll volunteer to be on that.
All right, anyone else want to, and I'll.
I'm not sure that, be in favor.
I don't think he's asking you to. I don't think he's asking you to.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to note that there is a report that, we used to get, I don't know if you still get it, that lists, every dealer and how many transactions they do in the course of the month. And I think they do an annual report of that too, so you would have that information to be able to tell exactly how many dealers in Virginia are, and how many vehicles they're selling, just as a point of data for you.
Those are only Virginia sales.
Yes.
And they don't include wholesale.
Correct, but it is a report that shows you, the retail sales in Virginia, so.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you can be a there's a separate license.
There's no wholesale license in
No.
Virginia. You can have a retail license and wholesale through that retail license, but it's a retail license. I think that's very wise.
Mind if I ask why you think that's wrong?
What, not to have a wholesale license? I mean, are we recording this? I mean, it would be a complete food show, I think. You know, if you throw that out there, they would just stretch the limits completely. I think it requires a retail operation to be sharp enough and have enough pieces in place to be able to conduct themselves.
Part of the study.
Yes,
The wholesale license is just a lot harder to monitor because you have in Virginia, you have currently a lot of out-of-state wholesalers selling cars on Facebook Marketplace as a retail dealer because D&B doesn't really know whether you're a wholesale dealer or a retail dealer. You just have a reassignment, you have a title, you have a dealership name, dealer number. Everything, all the assignations that any retail store has, the wholesale license has it as well. So you have these people with zero expenses selling cars in paper marketplace for thousands less than you can advertise. If you really want them, there will be thousands added to the beginning of licensing, selling cars on license in paper marketplace. So that's really a bad and you don't really want it.
Maryland has the same issue.
Oh, yeah, and they're rebuilding.
Yeah, they're. We have problems.
Oh, no, nothing. I'm just gonna throw out something that I talked to Mr. Frank about last week, and mentioned it, what back to memory. But what I can do for the board members, Amber has a white paper on the, like, get a hold of that.
Well, thank you for entertaining that. I'm going to, I'll send out an email to those who are interested. Last thing I'll say, and then I'll turn it over to you. I really like the discussion today on the board, and I really think that, if we're doing our jobs right, we should be asking the tough question, both about when we see an individual case, what are the implications for legislation or how we interpret our rules? And when we see a potential problem, but we're not sure it is, that we're doing studies and we're kind of coming back and figuring it out. I think that's the way we can make some change progress. It doesn't mean that every idea that we have or every path discussion is done. I think we've done a really good job today. All right. So I'll turn it back over to you on the scheduling section. Oh, is it? Well, our next scheduled meeting is on July 8th, 2024. We'll be back here.
All right, so for my report, which is not very long at all, I don't have anything to talk about. You met Ann Majors earlier, who's done the operation. I do want to piggyback on Chairman's comment about compensation. So this is what the board is supposed to do, and I think pretty. We do know that, for him, for most of the clarification, that we don't ride around looking for bills to propose. We only find the bills to propose because we go ahead and do the business. That's a little different. We just ride around pinpointing, that's the target. We're not doing. We're actually trying to go there and do some business. They're not there. And we've been waiting for 20 months. So we recognize, especially in smaller dealerships, that people might go online to do something. We've talked to a lot of people about that. Talked to a lot of dealers about that. They can do it there. So, so we do work with them as best we can, but it gets to a point where we have to. But that's why you're here. So we do what we have to do. They have an opportunity to either acknowledge what we're doing, or they can appeal it to a hearing. Look before you guys. So I thank you for your input, thank you for participation, comment.
The committee, motor vehicle dealer board committee stands in. Thank you. Thank you.